So one of the things that is so key, and the leaders and the managers and individual contributors are going to play a role in, is developing that leadership expertise for remote. This slide has a lot of information on it, so I'm going to hit on a few of these, but you want to be able to develop your leadership capability. The best way to find out if you're a good leader and a good manager is to get a remote team. Because when you're face to face, you could be a little bit more sloppy with being a leader and not be as good, because the communication that you have to do is so different when you can just walk down the hall and quickly talk to someone about an issue. If you're remote, you've got to be able to communicate. You've got to be deliberate about scheduling the check-ins, and you've got to be in a position that you're listening, and you're listening not to the person that's talking to you face to face, but you've got to listen through some of the channels that you're using for communication. You're going to need to get to know every teammate individually and understand how does your team interact. So that requires much more attention. Doing daily check-ins are things that you can do to make this better. Setting expectations and making sure the expectations are clear. If you get to the end, usually a manager will get to the end when performance review time comes, and the employee will say, well, I didn't know you wanted that. As a remote leader, it's paramount that you set expectations so people know what is expected of them. And you can do that, I think, much easier because you've got to communicate in a written format or in a video format and in some way that it's documented. And you want to be able to share information regularly as a leader, as a remote leader. This is going to help you get better. And being able to encourage teams during challenges. Now is a perfect time for a leader to just check in with their teams to see how people are doing and make sure that, and you're listening for things that might be a concern. Give and solicit feedback to and from your teams on a regular basis. And I talked about this a little earlier, is set hours where all the teams there. If you've got a globally distributed team and some people are going to be working at midnight and some people are going to be working at 6 a.m., you want to find a balance in there where you can have a normal time, a window of time where everyone's on, so everybody gets the same message. And then the other times can be adjusted and you can flex on those. I talked about having social meeting points where you're just hanging out, you're learning, you're talking to each other, you're building those relationships. Some of the things you might do is have a virtual office party. Our team's 100% virtual, so we do this. We've been doing this and we're built from the ground up to be a virtual team. And we have parties, we play games, we do all kinds of things, and it feels like a normal office. You want to be able to make sure that your team understands how their work fits into the vision and mission of the company. Align those goals, make sure people get that communication, and reward people and make sure you catch people doing things that are contributing to the mission and to the vision of the company. And the biggest thing you could do is just model the behavior you want to see. So don't send emails at times when you know your team is asleep. Use that delayed send method, or just wait and send it at another time, or set the expectation that no response is required. So just modeling that behavior, taking time off, to the question that was asked earlier, one of the things you can do to manage that work-life balance, or to keep people from feeling like they're left out because they didn't make it to an event, is, don't work all the time, or let the team know, hey, I can't make it to this event because I've got a personal obligation, and people will understand it and they'll see you as human, and they'll see the behavior, and then they'll duplicate that. Help your teams build trust. I talked about this digital water cooler scenario where people are just hanging out, and encourage your team to do this with each other. It doesn't have to be the leader always recommending this. It's just things that the team can do themselves. I talked about holding each other accountable and sharing information and giving that feedback almost real time if you can. And then empower your team to take breaks and actually live their lives away from work. So that if you've got a doctor's appointment or you've got something else to do, then make sure that your team understands it's okay to go and do those things. So as the leader, these are a few things that you can do to get better and to improve and to foster that workforce.